Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Touchline. This is episode 2. It is myself, Paul. We have Ryan with us and Colin, as we will do every single week. And this week we have Daniel. Thank you for joining us, sir.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate it. You've been listening since the start. It's fantastic when listeners agree to come on and talk. It's always nice to get different opinions on the show.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I started listening.
Yes, it's been over a year. We were discussing it before we went live, which is nice to hear. So this evening we're going to quickly talk about the European qualifying, and we're going to talk a bit about low league in England this evening. So first off, there's been some football this evening, so I think it's best we start with that. So Dan, England played this evening.
Yeah, and they won 3-0 tonight against Lithuania. It was it started as all England games are at the minute. I'm sure Ryan will agree. I'm sure Ryan watched it. It was a very poor start and it was very slow. And then Ross Barkley scored a brilliant goal. I don't know if anyone saw it.
I didn't. I've missed all the football tonight, but Ryan's jumping in there. He saw it.
Yeah, I did see it. I agree with you. Very slow start. I don't know which one of the commenters said that they need to get it wide, start crossing the ball rather than this pass around slow, get the ball forward, and eventually when they did, Ross Barkley came alive and scored the goal that put the game to light.
I think once we're just talking about Ross Barkley, the game obviously was a Friday night against Estonia. There was a situation where Barkley was running with the ball, and I noticed Twitter lit up talking about how ball greedy he was. Now he didn't obviously play the pass. The pass wasn't on, or he wasn't looking for the pass. There was a situation where he was running, and Sterling was running alongside him, and Sterling turned and dropped his shoulders and complaining that he didn't get the pass. Barkley actually played the pass at the end, just as he got into the box. And if Sterling continued running, he'd have actually got onto the ball. But I think Barkley is actually the shining light over this weekend. And at least he's trying. I think some of the players just kind of take the place for granted, like Sterling, for example. Who it just annoyed me that one situation where he just seem to not keep running, Ryan.
Yeah, the Ross Barkley, he's known, if you watch him as a player for Everton, he's one that will run into space. Sometimes he won't pass, sometimes he doesn't need to pass, but he's one of these players, he's big, he's strong, he can run with the ball. And when you've got players like that for England, why complain when they're attacking? We complain when we start playing defensive football and it's just pass, and sideways passes or backwards. If someone's going to run forwards, how can you complain? Exactly.
It's fantastic, Dan, to actually see players attacking. Sterling does that himself. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I just think the attitude of him sometimes it leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, I think when we're watching Barkley, I think he brings that spark that we haven't had for a while, especially in the midfield. I think, to be honest, if I'm picking the England team right now for the Euros, I think he starts ahead of most of our midfielders because the energy when he picks up the ball in midfield and drives toward, it's going to scare teams. I know we're playing Lithuania and Estonia at the minute, but even if you're a big team like Germany, if you're having Barkley running at you full pelt, it's going to cause you problems.
Yeah, definitely. I think another thing to pick out, obviously, this weekend is just to move across the border to the Welsh team who played Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yeah, I think I was right. Pronunciation probably incorrect there.
You got it right.
Oh, thanks, boss. 2-0 to Bosnia, but obviously Wales qualify for the finals, Colin.
Yeah, I think they've had a great campaign qualifying. I think it'll be very interesting to see that particular squad at the finals of a major tournament there. Obviously, they have a very, very talented squad, and as long as Gareth Bale is healthy when they go in next summer to play, I'd be interested to see how they do. Are they going to get out of the groups and discuss the apple cart? I'm not necessarily sure, but it's intriguing. They've had a great showing so far, so I hope the run continues for them.
I think one of the key points as well to pick out from the international weekend is that Andorra actually scored a goal. Now, it was a penalty, Dan, but they scored a goal.
Yeah, and especially against Belgium, any goal counts. I think they didn't manage to score against Wales, and I think they played them next, actually. No, they played them earlier on. No,
they played them, yeah, and Wales won 2-1. So.
Yeah, and then I think they play them tomorrow, I think.
Yes, yeah.
I think someone said it's their most they've scored ever in a tournament, so it's positives for them. But on a Wales note, did anyone watch the game
I did.
Last night? Do you think as well Gareth Bale had so many opportunities to pass the ball to Wales for scoring opportunities?
I think the issue is, which he actually started to fix, I think it's about a year ago now. I actually spoke about this now. I was saying that Gareth Bale was very, very ball greedy. And it started to get frustrating, and he was doing the exact same thing for Real Madrid at that exact moment in time. And he's come back this season, and for Real Madrid, he's passing the ball so much more. And he looked more like a team player, which made him look like a better player. And he was doing the same for Wales. But yes, not last night, a couple of nights ago, he did seem to revert back to just holding onto the ball for too long. And he looks like such a better player when he is passing the ball and playing them 1-2s. So I think you are right there, Dan. He was holding onto it far too much.
Yeah, I think there was one opportunity at 0-0 where he got into the box and there was two players running at him, and then Hal Robson-Kanu at the back post was completely unmarked. And instead of just squaring it for an easy tap-in, he tried to put it in the top corner. And if you square it, it's 1-0 Wales. And the way I watched it, I thought from there Wales would have been in control.
I think in terms of Wales, I think Wales excite me. They actually excite me more than England at the minute because, like Colin, you said there about Gareth Bale, he has to be fit. I genuinely think the key players for that squad at the minute are Williams at the back and then Ramsey in midfield, because I think without them two, Gareth Bale's not going to be any use, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think...
Sorry,
go on, Colin.
Go on, Colin.
I'd say I agree. I think, and Bale at Real Madrid bears it out, right? When Modric is in the squad, he's a better player. So I agree. I think he is very dependent on a good midfield being there, and Ramsey obviously coming in, fit and in good form will be important to it. But he's been hit or miss, and I think when he hasn't been available to Wales, you can see that the sword edge is definitely blunted. So getting him in, he seems to have a myriad of muscle, calf, thigh, hamstring type injuries. So to see, hopefully he comes off of, what's undoubtedly going to be a lengthy campaign with Real Madrid this year. He comes into the Euros in good shape.
Yeah, I think the next game I just want to quickly touch on was Norway 2, Malta 0. Now, my adopted home nation, we are so close to qualifying now, and one thing I would say from the game is Martin Odegaard came off the bench. Now, he's not really been playing much, and the national team coach has turned around many times and said he's not going to play as long as he's not playing club football. But he brought him off the bench, and he has to start him in the next game against Croatia because the movement and the passing, he put through the attackers a couple of times with through balls which only the world-class players can play. Now, I've had this argument many times on and off air with people who have said he's only 16, he's not going to be world class, he's been hyped up too much, he's not going to develop. He is already better than most people. He was the best player on that pitch when he came on. And it wasn't even just, oh yeah, he's looking decent. Every time he got the ball, world class player, Ryan, because when they get the ball, they manage to have space. Every time he got the ball, he had enough time to get his head up, and he was sliding them through balls through. And if it wasn't for the lack of quality up front, Norway could have won 5 or 6 due to Martin Odegaard assisting.
It's just his media getting on top. He's gone to Real Madrid, top class team. He's expected to perform straight away. Give him time, he will develop, and we expect to see big things from him in the future. I'm hoping anyway.
I mean, what I would say is he shouldn't have gone to Real Madrid because he was playing regularly in Norway. He should have gone to somewhere like Celtic, who would be playing him, he would be still developing, which then would mean he would be playing ball for the national team, because obviously if he's playing first team football, they said they would be playing him. He is.
Well, then would you turn down Madrid?
That's the issue, and
would you go to Celtic?
I'm not too
I know
sure because
I prefer to play me football.
I genuinely, I'm not too sure, because at the end of the day, you can never begrudge someone taking the money, and he and his dad got offered obviously a job there. They've been offered massive sums of money. So at the end of the day, no one, and people who do say, oh, you shouldn't have gone for the money, if they were in the situation, they would have took the money.
Issue is the money that people are saying, like he's on £80,000 a week, not a chance. And we've said this before.
When you hear the money that's going around that his dad's getting paid as part of the deal and stuff, it's probably actually coming up more than that.
It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, but I don't know if you saw the rumours when he was originally signing for Real Madrid. Before Real Madrid, he was linked with Southampton quite heavily over here, and I thought that would have been a good move for him as well.
I think Southampton, I think he trialled at Liverpool, he trialled at Man United, he had games everywhere. Clubs were basically begging him to come, and he's a fantastic player, and he is going to develop at Real Madrid, but I think people need to kind of sit back and accept now that if he stays around it, he's not going to become a first team player for at least 2 years. So it's kind of frustrating because people are almost going to say, oh well, he's not developing, but I think behind the scenes he's only going to keep getting better. And as Ryan, you say there, would you turn down Real Madrid? At the end of the day, he's going to be training with Ronaldo and Bale because he is training with the first team, he's not training with the youth. So it's sorry, go on.
Does he play for Castilla, or does he actually feature with the first team?
He's featured a couple of times with the first team, and he has played for Castilla, but the problem is, in his contract it states he trains with the first team. So that was part of the agreement when he signed, and the issue there now is he has no bond with the second string, which means when he's turning out on the pitch, they don't really know each other.
Now, I remember there was a whole big to-do. Oh God, it was a couple of months ago about the fact that the guys on, the second team there were all up in arms that he goes up, he trains with the big guys, then shows up and there's no chemistry, there's no nothing, it doesn't gel, and they'd rather him sit on the bench or let him just keep training until he breaks in with the first team. I can't remember when it popped out, but it was a few months ago. There was a whole huge hubbub about it.
It's such a tough situation because you imagine the world is talking about how you're going to be the next big footballer. So when clubs come in for you, you're going to turn around and say, well, look, I don't want to just disappear in the reserves, so I want you to make sure I'm training with the first team. I want to get my chance. So I can understand why he said that, but then is it backfiring? I think it is a little bit.
Southampton, given the strength of that academy, would have been an interesting move for him.
I definitely think, especially considering he could speak English as well. I think it's quite strange that he decided to choose to go to Spain where he doesn't speak a word of Spanish, where he probably could have settled better in England. But it happened. I'll just jump down some of the other scores. Greece picked up their first victory, so well done, better late than never. Switzerland 7, San Marino 0, so Switzerland had a bad day there. Slovakia 4, Luxembourg 2. And was that the game you were talking about, Dan?
Yeah, when I turned over to watch it on the red button, there seemed to be Martin Skirtle had someone's by a shirt. I've just seen, I think it's just a dodgy tackle from Skirtle, and they've kind of clashed as they've gone in together, but that was about it.
I think the question we've got to ask now, Colin, is do you have the red button?
No.
See, Dan, you just assumed F1's from the UK.
Well, Colin, the red button is when you're watching a game, if you press it, it brings up different options for games. It's that easy.
I have that with the NFL. I don't have that with football.
Yeah, we have that with the NFL too.
Oh, man. See, we're just a step ahead. Sorry, Colin. English Low League. So let's get into some Low League football. Now, before we start, I'm just going to run down the scores from Leagues 1, League 2 and the National League. So it's Barnsley 1, Crewe 2, Bury 2, Wigan 2, Chesterfield 1, Grimsby 3, Fleetwood 0, Coventry 1. Boo.
Hey.
Oldham 2, Scunthorpe 4, Sheffield United 3, Rochdale 2, Shrewsbury 4, Colchester 2, Southend 1, Portfield 0, Swindon 1, Peterborough 2, Walsall 2, Burton 0, there's a shock. Barton 1, Accrington 2, Accrington Stanley.
Who are they?
The champion, I hope to God someone replied. Cambridge 1, Portsmouth 3, Carlisle 2, Morecambe 3, Crawley 3, Leyton Orient 2, I'm knackered. Luton 1, York 1, Mansfield 3, Newport 0, Northampton 2, Hartlepool 1, Oxford 1, Wimbledon 0, Yeovil 2, Dagenham Redbridge 2, Exeter 3, Stevenage 3, and Notts County 0, Plymouth 2. That'll do for now.
Good job.
Do you know, Ryan, I want to start with Newport County. A team who had money, they started making a rise, and then they just kind of totally fell off. Obviously, Terry Butcher's now recently left as well. It looks like they're going to be dropping back into the conference or the National League.
Can I just say, my family supports, I know people that support Newport. They've had, basically, if people haven't known, their chairman won Euro Millions about 5 years ago, and he bought the club outright. And he recently lost his money, and so Newport have been running off whatever he had left. They've just literally, I think not last week, the week before, they've become a fan-owned club. So they've got to rebuild from the bottom. They had a very low budget. I think they said they have the lowest budget in the League Two, same budget as Braintree in the conference. So they've had to build a squad off very little.
Wow.
There you go, Ryan.
Wow. Something for the record. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's one of those that goes to show how money is taking over football.
It definitely shows as well that anybody can buy a club, because this guy should have been. You're buying a club, you've kind of got to use a bit of common sense, and it sounds like he's kind of threw his money out and then just like, oh shit, I've run out.
But I think when he bought them, he was buying a team that went bust 10 odd years ago and that was sitting bottom of the Ryman South Division or something, and he thought, I'll have a jolly up here, and then out of nowhere they flew into the conference, and I think they were only there for 2 seasons and then came up to the Football League.
Yeah. It's a massive rise, so it's quite sad to see them now dropping, but that happens with a few. I mean, Crawley have struggled a little bit, obviously, late in last year. Ryan, Coventry, obviously a club who's had a lot of financial troubles. You're doing quite well now.
Yeah, beating Fleetwood this week. Very itchy, scratchy game, you could say. From the highlights, you can only see they won via an own goal of an ex-Coventry City player, ex-Coventry manager, now managing Fleetwood. So a lot of ex-Coventrys going around there. A few ex-City players also playing for Fleetwood. So a very Coventry-based game, but they're sitting pretty in the. I think they're 4th at the moment. Last time match at the table, but whether they stay there, because Coventry's
They're
usually
5th.
either start bad and end well, 5th. Thank you.
That's good.
Or they start well and then suddenly they start getting worse.
Now, obviously, there's no Premier League this weekend, but Ryan is a former Coventry player in the Premier League.
There is. It's Callum Wilson.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
He's injured now, so there will be no announcements of him in future shows.
Just before, I know, don't worry, I'm sure we can bring it up. I'm
pretty sure you'll find a way to sneak it in.
I'll have a think, Colin, see what I can come up with. So
a
Dan,
special segment of Coventry players in the Premier League.
Oh, that could be a nice game for next week. Right, moving on. Dan, you're a Charlton Athletic fan. Do you want to just talk us through why you're punishing yourself like this?
Well, I haven't really got a say in it. I was kind of born into it. I'm actually I'm literally a 10-minute drive from there and between a non-league club called Welling. I'm pretty much smack bang in the middle of the two of them. So I've grown up local and stayed that way, sadly.
Obviously they had the glory days, we can call it, under Alan Kirbishley. Obviously he was there for such a long time. It was I actually remember when he left, it was such a big kind of. There was many people saw the time had come, it was time for him to move on and the club can go forward. But after he left, it was just all downhill from there.
I think we could have done well. The club was starting to be on the slide towards the end of his tenure. We started to make some strange signings. It was at the beginning of the max overload from abroad, so we were signing players from America, and we signed a centre back that Colin might know called Corey Gibbs, and I think we had him for 3 years. He didn't play a game. He was injured for 3 years, and when he left, we brought in Ian Dowie, and we all know about Ian Dowie.
Legend.
And then we replaced him with Alan Pardew, and that wasn't much better either. So
another legend.
We just had a big financial problem. We decided to give Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank loads of money, which for some stupid reason, and it just went downhill from there. But we're slowly fighting our way back up now.
Now I don't know if Ryan, you saw this, and I definitely know Colin, you won't have seen this. There was a piece on English TV a couple of weeks ago about it. Might have been before the start of the season actually, and there's a sofa on the side of the pitch at Charlton.
Yeah, so if anyone's seen the programme Gogglebox, it's basically a Mickey take off that. There's by our corner flag, there is a little sofa where at the beginning of every game, at half time, the camera goes around the ground and picks out a certain person, and that person for the next game gets to sit in the sofa. It's a pretty random idea, but it's a good way of advertising, and to be fair, it's working. So can't complain.
The question is, what if it lands on someone and they stand up and go, "I'm not coming next week"?
Yeah, they look for someone else.
Just keep looking. Everyone goes, "I'm not coming."
It's a free ticket to sit on a sofa 2 yards from the action. I'd do it.
There you go. See, if Charlton Athletic are listening,
the Red Bulls do something similar.
Go on, Colin. Explain some more.
So they have a set of seats that they put right behind the advertising banner, right on the field, and before each home game, they go through and pick. I forget what I think it's 2 sets of two to come down. You can sit for free right on the field.
I've got to ask this, Colin. You said right behind the advertisement banner. That's not going to be the best view.
No, it's not, is it?
No.
I've never won. I enjoy my seats, so I can't tell you where it is or how good or bad it is, but I agree it's a little awkward.
Now, what I want, this is going to be random, but I want people who listen on iTunes, people who listen on SoundCloud, people who listen on YouTube, just comment, please. Have you ever been sat in a position in the stadium where you can't see the game?
Yes, I have.
Go on, explain the story.
There's two. I've been very unlucky. Crystal Palace away in probably 2007-8. There's a massive pole, and my seat was next to it, and I couldn't see the other end of the goal. And we were sold out, so I couldn't move. And the second one, I don't know if anyone knows, in the corner when you do go to QPR, right in the corner, the stand blocks the goal, so you can't see the goal because the West Stand's in the way.
Great designs. What about yourself, Colin?
No, I haven't been blocked. So Red Bull Arena, they went way out of their way to make sure that none of the seats are obstructed.
I've just had it once, and it was at Bradford. Me and my friend years ago picked a random match, and we picked Bradford versus Stockport County. And Stockport County got relegated, and we were sat in the away stand. So obviously we had no affiliation with the club, so we just stood up all the way through singing "We are going down," so we are going down, which was awesome. But second half we couldn't see the game for this slightly overweight person in front of us. I don't know if that counts as being blocked, but genuinely we could not see one half of the pitch. But it was a great day out. Have you? We go off topic again. Screw. We have a guest. Dan, have you ever been to you've just picked a random game in London and went, "Do you know what, I'm going to it"?
Yeah, I've been to a few. Me and my brother do it during most international games. Actually, as I said to you before the phone call, I support Charlton, but I follow Welling because, as I said, I'm down the road. So as much as possible, if Charlton aren't playing, I go to Welling. But last year, I went to Leyton Orient versus Notts County or someone like that for the fun of it. I've been to Arsenal versus teams. I went to Southend for a game once, just because it was football.
Just because you can.
Just because I can. Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask Ryan, but I've already got the picture in my head. There's a famous picture of Ryan stood next to the Leamington Spa logo. So apart from that game, Ryan, where have you gone? Unbelievable.
I'm trying to think of where I've actually been. Are you talking lower down, or are you talking literally anywhere? Anywhere. I've been to Bruges Grand. I've been to Bruges Grand in Belgium. I've also been to Ostend's ground.
I've been to Hertha Berlin's in Germany.
Yeah. I've been to Eggerson's ground.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Fantastic little ground.
When there's a match going on, Ryan.
I've been to Coventry Spinks' ground. Does that count?
No, we're moving on. You're sacked. Unbelievable. Like, Colin, do you want to talk us through the National League games? Just run down the results.
Sure. So we have Macclesfield 2, Kidderminster 1, Aldershot 2, Altrincham 0, Boreham Wood 2, Welling 0, Braintree 0, Grimsby 0, Bromley 5, Barrow 0, Chester 2, Lincoln City 3, Dover 2, Wrexham 1, Halifax 0, Woking 3, Forest Green 3, Isley 0, Gateshead 1, Cheltenham 1, Southport 0, Torquay 1, and Tranmere 1, Eastleigh 2.
Colin did quite well there. For an American man reading out all these scores, I was kind of hoping you'd screw a few of the names up. Good,
I think that's you. You're the
Have
professional.
faith in the American.
Do you know Colin reminds me of, you know, the guy on the BBC? Macclesfield 2, Kidderminster 1.
Oh,
That's why I
yes,
like
the
Colin
legend,
reading the
man.
scores, because it reminds me of the olden days. So we'll go through. Obviously, the National League is such a tight league, Dan. I think it's one of the most exciting leagues in the English structure.
It's a really weird league. As I said, my local team, Welling, are in it. And the league is split right down the middle in the way there are some very big professional, like not very big, but professional teams in there. You've got Grimsby, Wrexham, Forest Green, Cheltenham, Tranmere are in it this year, who are always going to be up the top, and Woking are backed by money. They're going to be up there. Eastleigh are the same, exactly the same. I've been them on FM. You do get quite a bit of transfer budget. But then there's teams like Bromley, who are another local side not far from me, who are storming up the league. I think they won 5-0 on Saturday. They beat us 4-0 on Tuesday. And then down the bottom, you've got the poorer sides, the Guisleys, Wellings, Altrinchams, the smaller teams. It's really mixed. It's not often you'll see a team come from the south or the north and do very well, because the professional teams that drop down, they say it's hard to drop down and go back up, but once you're a professional team in the conference, you've got a good chance.
Well, I mean, when you look like Torquay, I mean, the fact that they're still in the conference, I thought they would have just gone straight back up. You got Wrexham, who were finishing mid-table. I mean, Wrexham, you would genuinely think they would be a League 1 / League 2 side, and they can't get out of the National League. I mean, you've got Barnet, who struggled for years in there.
Luton.
Luton
big one.
struggled.
I mean, from the Torquay side of things, I don't know if you've noticed, but Torquay could be going bust soon. They've had, since they went down, the same as Aldershot, they've had, when you go down from League 2, the money is a big problem. You lose a lot of money just from being in the Football League, and they're both towards the bottom of the table and both looking like they could go bust.
I was going to say, I know Plymouth actually helped them out, which was nice to see local rivals helping.
Yeah, and
you know
Wrexham,
you're financially screwed when Plymouth are helping you.
Yeah, I think Wrexham. I think you'll find Wrexham might go up this year. They've had a few years of just trying to sort out their squad. I went to a playoff final, Newport Wrexham, a few years ago, where Newport won, and that Wrexham squad was taken apart, and they went up to the Football League, and they had to build a whole new squad. It's taken them a few years, but I think this could be their year.
There you go. You heard it first. When they don't go up, we'll get them back on. So just a few of the FA Cup qualifying games, Colin. FC United Manchester, obviously a club who people know I follow closely, a very well-run club. Great to see fan-owned clubs working their way through the leagues. Obviously, they drew 1-0 with Buxton. They scored a 78th minute equaliser. Now, if they can manage to beat Buxton on, I think it's Wednesday night, they'll be playing either Sporting Cajalza or Spalding United, who are also going to a replay. So that's definitely going to be some midweek action to keep a lookout for.
Interesting.
Big result was AFC Filder. I think it's pronounced Filed. What do you know?
Flied, you
get a job. They won 9-0 against Colsham Town. 9-0. I mean, poor people. A club on the rebound, Colin. AFC Rushden and Diamonds. They got 2-0 victory. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I don't know if you know about this, Dan. I assume Hereford took part in it somewhere, so do you know when they went out?
I think they went out quite early because of their league status. I think they would have been in the first or second preliminary round, so it wouldn't surprise me. I'll check on their website now, but I'm pretty sure they would have gone out pretty early because they're in a very low division now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's 9th or 10th tier at the minute. Then you got Salford City drew 1-0 with Bradford Park Avenue. It was a great victory for them, but it does mean they're now away, Colin, at Bradford for the replay.
Yeah, away is always tough to go on the road for a replay.
Definitely. And just pick a couple more. You have Wingate 1, Western-super-Mare 3. Obviously, Western-super-Mare spent a few years in the Conference South. Struggling now, obviously, the next tier down.
I think I'm pretty sure Western-super-Mare are still in the Conference South. They're just.
I thought they went down.
They're just towards the bottom. I can't be sure. I'm fairly confident they're just towards the bottom.
Margate 4, Truro 1. Big defeat for Truro City down there.
Yeah, Truro City surprised me because I think they're a team, as you said earlier on. I think it was offline or was it online? Truro have got a lot of ex-Plymouth players. And they're doing reasonably well. I mean, last time they were in the Conference South, I think they finished bottom on about 10 points. So I think they're doing okay this year. I didn't expect them to be smashed so easily.
We're just going to move on to the American side of the game, mainly because I want to, for the first time ever, hopefully hear Colin go mental. So Colin, United States 2, Mexico 3, then to rub salt in the wound, Colin, the under-23s lost, which means you're more than likely not going to the Olympic Games.
Yep, it was probably one of the darkest days in U.S. football, U.S. soccer, and just because the Mexicans were even better. If you saw on Twitter, they sent out a great shot after the end of the Confederations Cup match, a note to say, yep, that they're going to Russia and they're going to Rio, and we're not going to Rio. And it's a question mark if we're going to Russia. I guess the best thing of everything that we saw of the U.S. on Saturday night is at least the region is bad enough that we're probably not going to miss the 2018 World Cup.
Is that really the best way of looking at it, Colin? The rest of the teams are so... But then, Colin, should you be looking at it that way, Colin? Because, let's be honest, I think the under-21s underestimated Honduras from what I've... I mean, obviously, I don't live in America, Colin, as people know, so all I can do is, via the MLS website and stuff, read up on it. And I was reading about it, and by the looks of it, the US thought they would steamroll Honduras in the under-23s, and obviously Honduras won the game 2-0.
Yeah, I suspect there was probably some attitude in play. If you look up and down the U.S. system and the youth system, none of it's been particularly strong. So the U21s had a decent showing in New Zealand, nothing to really write home about. Obviously, the U23s here are going to most likely miss out on the Olympics. The U17s, we'll see them later this year, but it's been pretty lackluster. I think the issue at the top, there's a lot of people starting to call for Klinsmann's head. The team looked terrible. I mean, if you see any of that game, Mexico... By all rights, Mexico should have been given a penalty in the 90, right at the end of regulation, because Matt Beasler showed everyone what a stereotypical handball in the box looks like. But both the assistant and the ref missed it. Mexico owned that game. We sat in a shell. We were lousy. I think the average age of the U.S. team was like 30 or 31, and the average age of the Mexican team was 25.
Now, what I will say is people can go to MLSsoccer.com, and all highlights from Major League Soccer and the US games are free to watch on there, Colin. So as you say, if people want to go and check that game out and see what Colin was talking about, it's all available there to see. I think we should cheer you up a bit, Colin. New York Red Bulls 2, Montreal 1.
3.
That was a good game. It probably should have been 5-0. Again, the Red Bulls finishing leaves a little something to be desired, but it was a good game. They bossed Montreal around the park. Once again, Red Bull Arena is an absolute fortress and a incredibly difficult place for teams to come and play. So we've got 2 more tough games two more tough games to run out, but if we run the table, the Supporter Shield is ours, and a trip to next year's revamped CONCACAF Champions League. So that'll be exciting.
That'll be awesome, especially for yourself, because I was a season ticket holder at the Red Bulls. I mean, the chance to see your beloved New York Red Bulls playing in the Champions League and being able to see the games, obviously, is something no doubt you look forward to.
Yeah, and especially I think the CONCACAF guys have announced that they're restructuring the way the Champions League works here, away from the screwy 3-team group, 1 team gets out. Recently MLS and the Liga MX sides have gotten together and pushed the region to adopt a more European style, so 4-team groups with the top 2 teams getting out. To try and encourage more competition between the MLS sides and the Liga MX sides. So that's exciting. I think better competition between better sides will only make the U.S. team stronger. Now, the hitch to that is if we can figure out how to get that leveraged into the national team, because there are some fantastic U.S. players playing in MLS that just can't seem to get a break. on the national side because there is such a hang-up with European developed players right now.
I know
so I'd love to see some more U.S. homegrowns getting a shot.
I know. Is it Costa Rica you've got the friendly against coming up?
That is tomorrow, so we will be at the game, so stay tuned. We'll be tweeting out from it, so my wife and I are going to go join the American Outlaws tomorrow night and watch the U.S. national team take on Costa Rica from Red Bull Arena.
I think to cheer yourself up there, Colin, about the MLS, I know there's been 5 players called up and 4 of them were from the MLS, so I suppose that's a good sign.
Yes and no. I think I mean, yes, it's good, but a bunch of them are people that have been on the fringes for Klinsmann, and then the other side of it too is you're bringing in some serious talented guys, like Lee Win, Breck Shea. It'd be great if Benny Feilhaber would get a call up, but he's not. They don't seem to be calling him. But you're basically playing him in a scrub match. I mean, for the most part, the match against Costa Rica, neither side's. There's really not much going into it other than a little momentum going into World Cup qualifying that starts up in November. But I'd really love to see Klinsmann do something different, or we need to do something different. The team has no identity, no direction. We looked lost out on the pitch. I mean, nothing to, not to take away from Paul Aguilar's beautiful goal. And if you haven't seen it, watch the goal. It was a great miss by DeMarcus Beasley that opened him up into space, and he just blasted it on the volley.
That guy must be about 90.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, DeMarcus Beasley, honestly, he's been on the likes of Football Manager for like 20 years now.
I'm sure he played for Rangers at the beginning in the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, and the upsetting part is that after he retired from international play, and they dragged him back out almost again, and just watching him, it's almost against his will to play out there. We don't have a left, we're desperately short of fullbacks in this country, apparently.
But yeah, Brett Shea's playing there for Orlando, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, we have 300 million people in this country, and we can't find one fullback worth his salt, apparently.
You can have Glenn Johnson if you want.
No, that's okay. You can keep him.
DeMarcus Beasley.
But that's the big U.S. soccer question, right? Is in a country of this size, how we can't seem to get out of our own way and develop better, more technically proficient players. We just can't seem to get it in gear.
I think I'm going to watch the game. I think tomorrow night. To be honest, I'm unsure. What time's the kickoff, Colin?
6:30 local. It's 6:30 local time, so it's a little less than an hour from now would be what it would be.
So that's like 12:30, 11:30 UK time. So tune in, people, if people in Europe fancy watching some pointless football, as Colin put it. A scrub match, brilliant. Let's advertise a pointless game, Colin.
It'll be for people who don't have any exposure to this region or what's in there. You're seeing that 2 of the top 3 teams in the region playing each other here. Like I said, nobody's really going to be going crazy to kind of kill themselves, given that World Cup qualifying starts in real seriousness in November. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm miffed with the team, but I'd like to see them
support them, don't you?
Colin, are they down to the final? I think it's a group of 6 for the North American World Cup, or are they still in the groups beforehand?
This is the groups beforehand. The hexagonal doesn't start till next year, so this is the 3 groups of 4 to decide the hexagonal.
Well, see, Dan throwing some knowledge in there. He was waiting that side all night, guarantee you. Just some other news since I think. It wasn't announced last week, was it? Since last week's show, Klopp has obviously been confirmed as the Liverpool manager, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, I think we all knew it was going to happen. You, I don't know. If you're still the same, do you think it's a good appointment or not?
I have no idea. I genuinely really like the bloke. I think he comes across so down to earth. I like the fact that he is the normal one. I just like how he's down to earth, and when he talks, I mean, like you can go on YouTube and find them, like the interview we did with the lady for Liverpool TV and stuff. I watched that. I watch these where he walks out on the pitch. You get the picture took with the chief executives, etc. And it's just he comes across as such a nice guy, and the cameraman's going, "Oh, can you get a picture together?" And like grabs the other two guys and puts his arm around them. He's just a laid back, down to earth guy, and I think that's a fantastic thing to bring to the Premier League. I really like Mourinho, but his head's up his arse. And it's the same with a few managers at the minute. They seem to be in this bubble. Wenger obviously never does a single thing wrong. He's the only guy who never signs anyone and is adamant he's doing the right thing. Where I can genuinely see Klopp, when he does a mistake, come out and say, I messed up.
I think Jurgen Klopp's the right man for Liverpool. I think you need that, I don't want to say sense of humour, but that kind of person, because Liverpool is a club of very demanding. They're a big club in history, but they're on a bit of a decline, or whatever you want to say. I think you need someone who's going to come out and, as you said, come out and say, "Oh, whoopsie, my mistake." But at the same time, I think I agree with. I don't know if anyone saw what Alex Ferguson said, but I think Liverpool will do very well under him.
What do you think, Colin, about the Klopp appointment?
I think he fits in really well. If you look in kind of parallels with it, it's a club of, its current state is very much like the last project, like the Dortmund project that he was in. I think if he's given the right control, he made good decisions and obviously guided that team to some phenomenal success during his tenure. I agree. I think half of this is going to be his skill with managing and getting guys and getting the best out of guys. And half of it's going to be how he connects with the fan base, because obviously, it is a big club and they're looking for a little, glory to come back home. I think they got a taste of it, 2 years ago there with Rodgers, and now now they can't get enough of it. So I'm interested. I really think that of the two big appointments during this break, I think he's going to be the big and the successful, and I think it's the Sunderland one. I think was a disaster in the making.
That's a fantastic move into the next topic, Colin. There, so fair play on you. So the next one obviously was Sam Allardyce. Do you know what? I'm frustrated because I genuinely wanted him to stay in Newcastle when he left. But the Newcastle fans, a lot of them weren't happy. There's the classic clip of him in the dugout with fans pointing and abusing him. He left, obviously used his compensation money to buy himself a nice hotel, a nice holiday home in Spain when he left Newcastle. So he's obviously gone to Sunderland to get some money to refurbish that. Is he going to stay long at Sunderland? I don't think so. Will they go down? More than likely. Will it be his fault? No. They have a team full of people who literally don't give a monkeys.
I think the thing for me for Sam Allardyce is that he's the kind of manager that will consistently keep you in the Premier League, and that's why I think I give Sunderland a bit of a chance, because all the teams he's had, he seemed to just somehow made them just sort them out, just keep them a bit calm. Even the squad he took over from at West Ham was appalling, and it was pretty much the same when he took over at Blackburn. So I think he'll be okay. I think he'll calm it out. I think it'll be very tight, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Sunderland stayed up.
It's an interesting one, Ryan. What's your thoughts on Allardyce going there?
I think it's like Dan says. He's got experience of keeping teams up and putting it in the.
Oh,
I think we're losing Ryan.
I think we lost Ryan. It's not the worst thing. Dan, obviously, I've heard rumours that Kevin Nolan's going. What's your thoughts on that?
Kevin Nolan's going where? To
Sunderland, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think, to be honest, that's the kind of player they need, because there's no fighters in that team. You can see them on telly, and there's no one that, when the other team have got the ball, or even when Sunderland are on the ball, no one wants to go and just attack the football, and it's just a shame, because Sunderland there's the right fan base there, as much as you might not like me saying that.
I think it's just more frustrating. Kevin Nolan was loved by the Newcastle fans, so I think if Kevin Nolan goes to Sunderland, I'd be so surprised and gutted, Colin.
Yeah, that would be, that's a tough switch. It's almost like the, revenge for Colbeck there, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he was training with Leyton Orient in League Two for a little while, and I thought maybe he's going to go for a last kind of swing down there, but I haven't seen the Allardyce rumours.
It's very strange. But yeah, that's the end of the show tonight. So thank you, Dan, for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you coming along. Ryan and Colin, as always, thank you.
Anytime.
And we will fade you out some lovely music, and we will see you next Monday.